In previous videos, we described the Coded Wire Tag, or CWT program, and presented information on how CWTs are implanted in juvenile Chinook and coho salmon, and what kind of information is collected from tagged fish. We requested that First Nations fishers look for adipose fin-clipped Chinook and coho salmon during food, social, ceremonial, and economic fisheries, and submit the head of these fish to local fishery monitors. The submission of fish heads from adipose fin-clipped fish is a voluntary program. In this video, we will describe what happens to the information obtained from CWTs implanted in adipose fin-clipped fish, and how this information contributes towards the overall management of Fraser River Chinook and coho salmon. Just a note that while Chinook and coho are the primary species being tracked with coded wire tags, other salmon species are also included in the program. If you encounter any adipose fin-clipped salmon, please record the species and submit the head. To manage salmon stocks, Fisheries and Oceans Canada, or DFO, needs information on what happens to salmon between emergence from the rivers of origin and death after spawning. There are a variety of programs that DFO, First Nations, and others undertake to collect information during a salmon's life cycle. Smolt traps are used to count young salmon that are leaving freshwater to feed and grow in the ocean. Periodic high seas juvenile salmon surveys provide a glimpse of what is happening in the ocean. In the Fraser River, the Albion test fishery is used to track daily migration in the lower Fraser from early spring to late fall. And for spawning salmon, traps, fish wheels, aerial surveys, swim surveys, bank surveys, and sonar equipment provide an estimate of how many fish successfully made it back to the river of origin to spawn and continue the cycle. The Coded Wire Tag Migration Tracking Program contributes to fisheries management decisions regarding Chinook and coho salmon in the Fraser River. Information collected is used to evaluate survival and run timing, stream origin and age of returning fish, hatchery contributions to catch, smolt to adult survival rates, spawner abundance on spawning grounds, and the overall health of salmon stocks. Each year, millions of fish are tagged, and the goal is to receive information from 20% of hatchery-marked Chinook and coho from each fishery. Fisheries monitoring organizations are integral to the Coded Wire Tag program. For Lower Fraser First Nations fisheries, catch and effort monitoring is conducted by Stahelis, Yale, Tawasin, and Musqueam First Nations, and the Fraser Valley Aboriginal Fisheries Society, or FAVAFS. Catch information is collected through interviewing fishers regarding how many and what species are caught. Effort is determined by number of hours fished and the type of gear used. FAVAFS also conducts aerial surveys to count vessels fishing at any given time as a measure of effort. In addition to First Nations fishery monitors, DFO also has catch monitoring staff. They may have fishery officer patrols to ensure that fishers adhere to the regulations of the fishing licenses or to check gear and retained catch. DFO also contracts charter patrol monitors. These monitors count effort on the water or the number of fishing boats out during an opening, check catch, and communicate fishing rules and regulations if required. If, during an FSC or economic opportunity fishery, Chinook or coho are caught that are missing their adipose fin and may contain a coded wire tag, fishers can provide the head to any of the above monitors or submit it at a CWT information station. Heads can also be dropped off at the Lower Fraser Fisheries Alliance office. While it is not mandatory to submit the fish head, and if you would prefer to keep it, you can still contribute important data by letting the monitor know how many of your Chinook and coho are hatchery marked. This little piece of information goes a long way. All fisheries that harvest Chinook and coho include a program to collect hatchery-marked fish heads. This includes all marine, commercial, recreational, and First Nations fisheries. In recreational fisheries, the process is similar to First Nations fisheries, where recreational fishery monitors interview fishers and request that hatchery-marked fish heads are kept and submitted for data analysis. Recreational fishery monitors also have a series of CWT information stations along the coast and in-river to provide a convenient location to drop off fish heads. In marine commercial fisheries, Chinook and coho fisheries can have a variety of programs that are designed to meet the required sampling rate and tailored for each fishery. During these fisheries, many different stocks of fish are caught, including Chinook from the Fraser and smaller rivers in southern BC, and Columbia River Chinook as they migrate down the coast. Using CWT information, fisheries managers are able to estimate the amount of fish harvested that are bound for the Fraser, Columbia, and other rivers. It is important that all fisheries submit their fish heads so that information can be gathered to estimate the number of fish that are harvested from each of the fisheries and determine where the fish are originally from. Scientifically, there are 15 distinct Fraser Chinook stocks. For management purposes, Fraser Chinook stocks are managed as 5 management units: Spring 4-2s, Spring 5-2s, Summer 5-2s, Summer 4-1s, and Fraser Fall 4-1s. The first number indicates which year of life they are in, and the second number indicates how many years they spent in fresh water. Therefore, a 5 sub 2 is in its 5th year of life and spends 2 years in the river. These denote the ecotype of the Chinook stock. Sub 1s are ocean type, who migrate directly to sea, and sub 2s are stream type, who spend a year in freshwater before migrating to sea. DFO manages Fraser Chinook using these 5 management units because of the differences in migration timing and geographic distribution. 3 of these management units, Spring 4-2s, Summer 4-1s, and Fall 4-1s, have active indicator stocks where CWTs are implanted into the fish. The remaining 2 management units, Spring 5-2s and Summer 5-2s, do not have CWT indicator stocks. From each of these management units, a stock that represents the management unit is used as an indicator. It takes 5 years or more for a CWT program to provide usable information because the fish need to be reared and implanted with a CWT when they are smolts, then spend 4 years in the ocean before they return to their stream of origin. Catch data from all of the fisheries is collected for each Chinook stock that has an active CWT indicator program. But in order to provide a full picture of the annual stock, 3 other pieces of information are needed. 1, a record of how many CWTs were released in the brood year of that stock. 2, how many spawners of that stock returned to actively spawn. And 3, how many of those spawners were hatchery marked and had a CWT implanted. Using these pieces of information, scientists are able to estimate how many Chinook were harvested in each of the fisheries that submit coded wire-tagged fish from that stock, and an estimate of how many did not survive either their time in the ocean or their outmigration from the river as smolts. After collecting this information year after year, scientists are able to track long-term trends with the goal of providing the best information possible to sustainably manage Chinook and coho fisheries. CWTs are also used in international fisheries management. Canada and the United States have an agreement to manage fisheries through the Pacific Salmon Treaty, and CWTs are the international language used to compare Canadian and U.S. fisheries. This is important because many Fraser Chinook stocks migrate through Alaskan waters, and some are harvested in U.S. mixed stock marine fisheries. The CWT Head Recovery Program is an important part of fisheries management for Chinook and coho. Please continue to submit your adipose fin-clipped Chinook and coho heads every year as our contribution to the management of Fraser River Chinook and coho salmon.